hello again. This part's probably gonna be in the recording, but no one's gonna see it yet, so I'm gonna wait a moment, grab the link and share it as always, because it would be cool if I could automate this. There's probably a way, but yeah. Wait, hold on, it's not showing up. Where is it? Oh, found it. Share, copy, where, okay. I'm noticing as I'm, like I said, I was setting up for a stream, the avatar does not like it when I turn my head, at least for the eyes. Other than that, it works pretty well when I turn my head, but it doesn't like to do the eyes. It'll get uneven. But I'm half doing the stream to just test my new avatar, but and then also because there's some stuff I want to do with PixArts. So hello for those of you who are showing up now, I guess. I can get started here, I guess. Yeah. So last time, where is it? There's a barn around here. Here's the barn. So this barn is a barn, but it's very tall because I accidentally messed up the scaling, so I wanted to go and fix that this time. I believe there's, oh, and then I also wanted to add a hitbox to it. And then after that, I can start working on adding the cows, because this is a very familiar map for some of you who may have played the game this is referencing. But yeah, and then maybe I want to work on making it so that I can turn the different objects that are in the world. So like, for example, this barn, like in the level editor, there's no way to place it so that it's facing the other way. So I think I need to fix that. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna work on. And then if like I said, if we're lucky, I might get to work on the cows a little bit. But yeah, this is largely a stream to just test out my new avatar, because I just finished that last week and I wanted to try it out. So yeah, this is the barn we're gonna change. I'm gonna do it in block bench because let's see here, block bench. Oh yeah, I forgot, when you run this executable, like tries to install it or something. Do I use TCP? Yes, I do. And no, it's not bad for real time. TCP just adds most of the things that you're gonna add on top of UDP anyways if you do UDP from scratch. So there are places you can optimize for different types of, I guess, messages where UDP, like, you don't need to do some of the extra checks that you would do on like that TCP automatically does. But I think most of the time you end up doing most of the things that TCP does anyways, just by hand if you use UDP. So yeah, I think a lot of people, more people try to use UDP than should. There are certain types of things where you can benefit from UDP, but you have to put in more work. And then also, it's just, wait, do I have my barn? Where's my barn? Okay, wait. I gotta pull up the barn. Data, where did I put this thing? Images? Sprite. No, not do I have a block bench full of blocks? Let's see, so I have this. There's barn. Please tell me that I saved it. Oh, wait, voxel? Barn.voxel. Oh, right, I used magic of voxel, not block bench, right? That's an oopsie, right? So let me see if I can find where I put that. So that's gonna be PixArts data. Where did I put this thing? So it would be under images, voxel, barn. Behold the barn. It is the barn from the last stream. But yeah, so I think some real-time games, there's certain types of messages where you don't need to do some of the checks that TCP does. I think the big one is that if you can allow certain messages to come out of order, that can save you a bit. Because what happens is, on bad connections, sometimes things will get out of order and TCP will force it to arrive in order, which means delaying everything that came after. And then, so what you do with UDP, let's say someone's got a position and they're running or whatever, or say it's a racing game and they're driving somewhere, and you're sending that data to the other players. So say those packets get out of order, on TCP, it will force it to be in order. But if you put something in the message, and you can tell what the correct order is, what you can do is you can just drop, because it's positional information, the out-of-date stuff is not relevant anymore. So you just drop anything that's received that has, like, I guess, a timestamp that's earlier than the last thing you received, because it means that it's not as relevant as some of the other data that you have. So you can drop that, and then you don't get the delay that you would have gotten from TCP, where it would have waited before giving you it to rearrange them to get it in order. So that just kind of makes movement a little bit cleaner on bad connections, but that's like an edge case of bad connections. And there's other types of checks that TCP does that can help make it. Well, there's other checks that TCP does that can slow things down a little bit in certain circumstances, that you can sometimes work around depending on the type of things that you're sending. But if you don't want to think about that, and you don't want to get all those potential bugs that come with it, and for very minor benefits, usually you would just use TCP, which is what I'm doing. It doesn't actually slow you down that much. Why do you choose Pygame over game? What is GM? Is that Game Maker? Is it a Game Maker Studio? What? I'm guessing that's what it is. I don't know it by Game Maker Studio, but GM makes me think of Game Maker. But I've talked about this. I just work faster in Pygame because I have my own tool set built up, and then also like using Python in general. I don't have there's not a video titled why I chose it over game engines. There's the one that says why I'm glad I didn't use Unity, but the thing I talked about in that video is more of a general concept than my specific personal reason. Which in that video, which is I think the most popular one on my channel, I talked about how I got the job that I have because I didn't use Unity. So I benefited from it in that way, but the reason I continue to use Pygame is its own thing, which is just that I just work faster with it because of the tool set I have and stuff. And then I do enjoy working with Python. So yeah. You switch from Pygame to Godot and you miss Pygame now. Yeah, I can't, like, I did try making a game with Godot in 2D a long time ago, like years ago, and then I've used it for some 3D stuff, but I would not use it for 2D stuff personally. I mean, from what I understand, it's actually what Godot is best at, but coming from Pygame, I just like Pygame so much more. So, you escaped tutorial hell? Nice. Godot is not bad. I do really like Godot. I've used like a little bit Unity and Unreal, and I like Godot way more. So of the game engines, that is my preference. Do I know SDL2? I know Pygame well enough that I could make something with SDL2 pretty easily with just the documentation, because the bindings are pretty much the same. You're still splitting things and using surfaces and stuff like that, so it's not that different than Pygame. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So the issue with this barn, let me see if I can. Yeah, I can just select it all. Is that it was stretched vertically. So what I have to do is there's a thing for scaling. So this is it S? No, that's, what are the key bindings on this? There's scale right here. I don't know if that's correct. I don't want to just. I forgot all my buttons. Wait, Q and that's an interesting thing. Oh wait, hold on. Is there? So there's model and render. Oh, I did not click that before. Now how do I do this? So, oh wait, there's brush. Oh, wait, no, I don't think that's correct. There was a way to scale, definitely. Is this it? No, that's, what is this? Access mode. Under. So this is select. Transform. No, but that just slides it. I don't want that. Extrude. Wait, why face mode? It's voxels. Why is there a face mode? Geometry mode. Wait, which one was I on? Oh. I think this is what I'm looking for. What's this? Scale. There we go. What's the binding on that? Scale is... Okay, I don't see the actual key binding on it. So I did make this too tall. So I'm not sure exactly how tall it was before. I think I can get it roughly. I think it'll be a huge deal if it's a bit off. I think that's pretty close. So there's a couple things I'm looking at here. So if I stretch it up this tall, I think there's some places where you can see some of the things that were originally 1 pixel that was scaled up becoming like 3 pixels tall instead of 2. So if you look on the roof, like right here, you can see my mouse. So if you look on the roof right here, you can see it's like 3 pixels thick or voxels thick. So I'm looking for that to become 2, and that's what the original thing was. So right here, you can see some of it stretched, and then go down to here. This might be the correct thing. I think that's correct. Only thing I'm seeing now is, how do I deselect? Is it, yes, Control D. So this stuff right here got messed up. The tops of the hay down here lost its color somehow. I think it's just how it was stretched, but I can just add that in pretty easily, and that will fix that. And we have the barn. So now I have to check diagonals, because on some of the diagonals you can see through the pixel, so I need to make sure that those don't exist here. So like specifically, if I remove this thing right here, you could see through the roof a little bit. But I'm gonna go ahead and save this and see if I can export this. So there's a way to export this so I can get the slices. Let's see. Where's the export? Oh, right here. So I do a slice export, and then I go to Pixcarts, data, images. So I hope I committed this already, so that just in case I have a problem I can revert it. But it's blocks barn, and then if I just grab all of this, oh, can I not just multi-select this? I might have to go in separately and delete this, because I don't want to cause any problems there. So barn, I'm just gonna delete it all. I don't know if it should probably update. Yeah, there it goes. So I think if I do this, if I do image 00. Oh, right, I forgot. there was that thing where it just exports like this. You get that. So I gotta slice this up. So to do that, I think I made a script. Now, where did I put that script? Did I delete that? Hold on. Just gonna check my recycle bin to see if I accidentally deleted it when I went and deleted all that other stuff. No, it's not in there. I know I made a script. I don't think I would have deleted it. I could check GitHub because the commit history should have it if I... let's see. Oh, I did not commit it, but wait. Wait, no, I did commit it. So I should have, if I go to GitHub, I should be able to see just on the last commit where I put that script that can split up these images. I'm just gonna look real quick to see if I can find it in here though. So if I go to blocks, maybe it's in here. Oh yes, it is. So it's split.py and blocks. So cd images / blocks. Oh wait, no, it's data images blocks. All right, so we're in here, and then I don't know what the arguments were on this. So let's see. So we have what does it take? So the path, it takes the path. So I think I just send it the path to the file. So I just do py split.py, and then I do barn/barn.png. Oh, layers. 80, I believe. And now if I go over to barn, you can see the barn. So we got all these black ones, which I don't need. That's fine. And then I don't need barn.png anymore. So now let's go see if this is looking correct. Actually, I'll start up the game and then look at chat. Vroom vroom. I need to turn up my volume. It's kind of loud. All right. So I'm gonna check on the barn, then I'll look at chat. But I think it should be correct. So no, that's looking. It looks tall still. But is it as? I don't think it is as tall as before, which would be correct. It does seem quite tall though. I can't imagine how it would not be correct now, unless I like have a different file or something where this is sitting. But I think that's correct now. Yeah. So it does need a hitbox now, so because I can just do this. Just a friendly reminder that this is a 2D image. It's not like physically 3D in the world, so I can't actually drive inside it. So I have to do clever layering tricks, and yeah. So the trick is to just not let the player drive into it, and that's how I can preserve the 3D illusion. Wait, I saw the shadow render on the car, I thought. Look, I can drive out from under it. Oh. Alright, I'm gonna take a look at chat real quick. Let's see here. You start fiddling with Godot a bit. Game dev is daunting. I mean, yeah, overall it is. There's a lot going on. But I feel like Godot should be pretty approachable. I have not used Construct 4. Yes, I am using Sprite Stack. So you can turn just like a voxel model into Sprite Stacks, which is what I'm doing. If you saw, I can split up the image, and so I have all the layers, and then you render the layers together to create the sprite stack. Average programmer's taskbar, VS Code, CMD, Discord, OBS. Yeah, pretty much. That's if I'm streaming, because normally I don't have OBS open, so. What program am I using? That was Magic of Voxel for the modeling. You never could come up with math for how to rotate the world and adapt all stacks to an angle of camera. So, well, everything's going to have the same rotation offset. If you're rotating the camera, you just change the rotation of the camera. The tricky part is getting the position right after the rotation, and for that I use matrix transforms. You can do that mathematically with trigonometry, but the easy way is to just use matrix transforms. So you make a transformation matrix, and you can multiply that by the coordinates of everything, accounting for the position of the camera to rotate everything, and that's actually a lot faster than running the trigonometry individually on everything. So that's the way you do it, and it is somewhat complicated compared to other things if you haven't done it before. But yeah, if you send me a message on Twitter, usually I don't respond there. The only place that I will pretty consistently respond is my email. And then I guess live stream chats and maybe YouTube comments. Although, if you ask something in the questions channel on my Discord server, usually someone will answer it. Sometimes that'll be me. A rendering thing and all objects stay in the same position? What? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Oh, you might be referring to like the translation in the transformation. But can I remove top of the house when the car enters inside? I mean, technically I could make that happen, but there's no reason to, because it's supposed to be just decoration. When will I publish Pygnet? Hopefully next year, but also it won't be called Pygnet, it'll be called ShopNet, because someone else already has something called Pygnet. Is Team Submarine here? What? Pygnet is my networking framework that I'm using for this game, but there's, like I said, there's someone else who already named a Pygame networking framework Pygnet, so I'm gonna take a different name when I actually release the networking thing. Well, what I'm doing is I'm making a new version of the networking thing, and then I will post that, which will be called ShopNet. And I'm making that from scratch based on the things I'm learning from Pygnet that I have here. Because there's a lot of random quirks and stuff that I really don't like with Pygnet. It's still really convenient to work with, but there's lots of random things going on that make some things kind of awkward and definitely not super user-friendly if you guys were to use it. So I do plan on changing some stuff. Am I just doing it for the render? You mean physics objects don't change their positions? The camera, if you've watched my tutorials, the camera never changes how you do physics. You always do physics in the world coordinates instead of the camera coordinates. Otherwise you get some really weird stuff that should not be happening. How do you optimize performance of price stacking? Yeah, you cache the rotations as the whole images. That's exactly what you do. Let's see. You're trying to learn Python and Pygame for a couple months. Okay, nice. You're also working on a multiplayer game. Nice. PotatoNet. That would be funny, yes, but that it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to most people. Like, especially if it gets used more widely outside of, I guess, you guys. It may cause some confusion. ShopNet means like shared object networking. It actually breaks down into something. It's almost an acronym, except it's got more letters in it from the middle of the words. Did I play Flatout? No, I don't. That sounds familiar. I'm not sure what it is. Thought I will code. I will in a bit, because I will have to code to get this barn to rotate the other direction, because that is something I want to add to my level editor. Do I use filter for graphics? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Which probably means no, depending on what you're asking. But, I mean, I'm running things through a shader, if that's what you're asking, but... Alright. So, let's get this barn rotating. So, for that, I need to make it so that the level editor... Where's my... Oh, here it is. So the level editor currently looks like this. This is the barn right here. I put it right here, but I need to have a way to rotate things. I think I kind of want it to rotate in 90-degree increments, but then also have an option to do it in non-90-degree increments. Because some things, I think, actually I'm not sure. The trees might have a circular hitbox. No, I think they're square. But some of the things, it doesn't really matter too much what the orientation is when it comes to the hitbox, like if it's round like a tree. But for a barn that is actually square, if you rotate it 45 degrees so that the corners are like pointing up, down, right, and left instead of to the where they are now, then the hitbox will be all wrong, because I can't rotate the hitbox without making the physics way more complex, because it's using grid physics right now. So what I'm going to do is make it so that it can easily rotate in 90-degree increments, and then maybe have an option to do not 90 degrees. So I think that should just be like an extra setting here when I place tiles. Let's see. I'm not sure what my tile format is. Wait, I think I'm using the am I using... Yes, I'm using my tile map thing. So if I remember correctly, there's a custom thing. So there's a custom field in each tile that I can modify, I believe. Wait, I think I could just search custom and see if it shows up. Oh, no, maybe not. Okay, never mind. So the custom thing I was thinking about was, I think something I added in a different version of Pygame for the tile maps that I'm using for the contractor project. But let's see here. If I go over to, it should be in here. If I just go to, wait a second, what am I using for this tile map? Because the tile thing is not in here. How am I loading this thing? Is it, wait, HUD map hooks? What is hooks being used for? No, that's something else. Under stack settings, right stack track. Under blocks. Did I make my own format here? I think I did make my own format here. So I guess I can just put whatever I want in here, I guess. It's misleading because the whole tJSON thing I did, where it's JSON with tuples, where you can use them as keys. And that's something I specifically did for Pygnet's tile maps. And I guess I used that format here, but I did not actually use Pygnet's tile maps. And I wrote something else. So yeah, I used block map, location, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I gotta look for where I add the tiles. So if I look... actually, no, I'm gonna add an something up here. Wait. Can you say... I'll say rotation equals 0. And then... Or I'll do block rotation equals 0. And what it'll be is, I guess I do use the scroll wheel for stuff. It would be nice if I could use the scroll wheel to rotate things, but we'll see. So let's do if event.key is, what is something that is not used? K, can you use, no, I can't use O and P because O is output, which is what saves. Can I use K and L? I think I can use K and L. So K will be down, so rotation minus equals 45, or it's block rotation. And then if event.key is pygame.k L block rotation plus equals, wait, no, it needs to be 90, not 45. And then now if I go find that thing right here, if I add like 10 there, I can say rotation, and then I can do that. Oh, nope, not that. Block rotation. So that'll tell me in my user interface what my current rotation is. And then when I add a tile, which is the last step here, where is that though? So it should be, I guess, below the input. No. Oh, it's in, wait, no. Where did I put it? So this should be on like left click or something. Mouse button up, mouse button down. So it says click equals true. Where's click? Oh wait. No, that's checkpoints. Oh, right here. So, and then what I do is if block rotation does not equal 0, because you assume the way I'm going to do this to save on memory is to just assume the rotation is 0 unless otherwise specified. So if it's not 0, I can do this, and I'll say rotation. Wait, what the? Rotation equals, and then I can do block rotation. So that'll add an extra field into the output here. So if I just go ahead and run the editor again, there's no way for me to tell at the moment what the actual rotation is after I've placed it, but I can change it before. So if I press like K and L and stuff, I can change the rotation. I can put it really high if I want. It doesn't loop around. But what I'll do is put it at 180 because I want it to be facing where the, if you remember, the barn was facing the opposite direction I came from. I want it to be facing the cars when they drive in. Also, something else is that I believe the barn might be centered on wherever wherever the top left is instead of actually being properly centered. I'm not sure. So anyways, I saved it, hopefully. So I'm going to go check out the files and see if it's there. So if I go data maps, and it should be moo. There's new, and I'm going to call this blocks old 5 so I don't lose it. I keep these extra versions just in case. So this will become blocks, and then the way I can tell if this is working is if I open this up, and I should be able to search rotation. And yeah, you can see there's the last tile in here is the barn, position 44, 41, rotation 180. So now I just have to make it so that it actually applies this rotation. So I think that will be on track, I believe. So yeah, so block map, and then nearby, blah, 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 render blocks, blocks, blah, blah. So render stack, I believe, takes in, what is R? What the? Oh, R is the rotation. So now I do if rotation in self.blockMap location, then we can do R equals self.blockMap location, and then it should apply that rotation to the block, which in this case is our barn. So I can go ahead and play, and let's see if it's correct. I do have to drive over there though. It's a bit of a drive down the Moo road. That's the cone from earlier. That's not good. Float, and what happened there? So crashed right here. Oh, oops, that needs to be rotation. I forgot to use the key there to get the actual rotation. Alright. Let's see. We're going on a bit of a drive again. It takes like, what, 15 seconds to get there? Alright. There are some cones for me next time. And there we go. So the barn is facing the correct direction this time. So if you noticed, when we drove up, so you drive up here, and boom, there's the barn. Although I almost wonder if it should be facing down. I kind of like the idea of it facing down, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. And this time I will not save an extra copy of the map because I don't need that. So let's just do this, and I'm going to change the rotation to, ooh, So this could either be up or down. So I rotated at 180. So when you rotate at 180, you know it's going to be the opposite direction. But I think sometimes rotation could be clockwise or counterclockwise. I think Pygame does something weird with it. And so mathematically, something weird happens with Pygame and just SDL in general because positive y is down, which means if you're doing trigonometry and you're doing rotations, all of the rotations are naturally clockwise, whereas mathematically normally you expect it to be counterclockwise. And I actually forgot which way Pygame normally goes with Pygame to transform to rotate, which I think this is depending on. So there's lots of stuff here, so this could very well be wrong. Actually, you know what? I don't even have to do the level editor. I can just be lazy or be smart. Work smarter, not harder. Go in here. We change this rotation to 90. And I could change this to something else if I wanted, other than those 4 values, but problem is that when I do add the hitbox, we're going to have some problems if I don't do that. Alright. There's the vroom vroom. Okay, so actually, you know, I think I do like it the other way, because when you do come at it from this direction, what you see is the wall. So I think it should definitely be facing this way. I mean, in some sense it makes sense for it to be facing the road, but I think it's more like, in a world sense, it makes it more sense for it to be facing the road, but from just the driver's perspective, it's nicer if it's facing the player, because then you can see inside the barn. So I'll do like a full lap here, just so you can see. Whee! So yeah, you drive by the barn right there, and then so the next thing is going to be to add hitboxes. I believe I do have. So there's a couple ways I can do hitboxes. There's one which is to just place a bunch of hitboxes on the ground. I believe that's something I can do, like fake hitboxes, and then I can try to calculate one. Problem with calculating one hitbox instead of using a bunch of small ones is that because of the grid system, it starts causing issues with how far the I guess entities look in the tile map for things they can collide with. It's a large hitbox problem that a lot of people got confused with on my tutorial recently. But yeah, so that's next. But I will look at chat first. All right. There's a lot of messages in here. Yes, my live streams are saved on YouTube. They're under the live tab. It only rotates visually, right? The rotation I was adding is, yeah, only visual. The hitbox is gonna be a square regardless, so it doesn't really matter. Am I catching up slowly? Very nice JSON file, yes. Only Chads enjoy building everything from scratch. The Virgin has skill for Godot or Unity. Interesting. What am I looking at? Why are you guys arguing in there? That's weird. Yeah, I mean, it's not a waste of time to do things from scratch. The thing I talk about in my most popular video is that you learn a different skill set by doing things from scratch that has some very general applications in computer science. And like I said in that video, that's actually how I got the job I have now. So it can help a lot to. It's a good learning experience to do things from scratch, and then once you do learn how to do it, you can make a tool set to make a specific type of game, not in games in general, but specific types of games much faster than other people. So like, for example, there's certain types of games that I tend to make, and like specifically certain types of platformers that I can pump out way faster than most people can with game engines, because I have my own tool set specifically for that thing, whereas game engines have to be more generalized. But yeah, so making things from scratch is not a waste of time, but your primary benefit is going to be the educational aspect. Why do I have my VTuber model? Because I do not show my face, and people typically don't like watching streams with just my screen capture. I've been using this thing since, like, I mean, it was a different one, but I started using it like, what, over 2 years ago? I don't know. It was whenever I started working on Vagrant, I think, was when I started using it. Was that 2021? Or was that 2020? I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But yeah, I made it for fun, like, because I saw MediaPipe's face mesh thing, or no, I saw some other face tracking stuff and wanted to play with it, so I made this, and then I found MediaPipe, and then I made it better, and then I switched to using Modern GL just recently, and I made it even better. Now it's actually 3D, so like I can turn my head pretty far. That did not look very good in the old model. The head was a lot thinner before. You couldn't really tell, but it was. Alright. You started with Pygame and work as a backend developer, and you're a civil engineer. Oh, you now work as a backend developer and you're a civil engineer. Nice. I know a lot of civil engineers for some reason. Oh wait, why you work? I'm guessing your degree's in civil engineering and you're working as a backend developer. Yeah. There are a lot of software jobs. I don't know how many like actual like civil engineering jobs there are, because there seems like a lot of majors in that. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing with learning things from a lower level is that game engines will come pretty easily, and a lot of times when you're working with game engines, you have a pretty rough idea of what's going on under the hood, which can help you get through certain types of issues easier. You can pick up that knowledge while using engines, but I think you get a fuller picture by doing both rather than just one. So if you do switch to using game engines afterwards, I think it does benefit you a fair bit. So like, for example, I picked up 3D stuff in Godot pretty fast, just because of my background in computer graphics from what I'd been doing with like OpenGL with 3D rendering. Yes, I am using the new model right now. Like the streams like have to test it, so. Will it work faster if I render in the GPU? If you're talking about PixCarts, this game right here, I'm using the GPU for some post-processing stuff. You actually can't, there's no difference here. It is handling the layering of the HUD and stuff, but the big thing is just the water, but there's no water on this map, so you can't really see it. But with sprite stacking, the GPU doesn't really help that much. Now, if I did actual 3D, it would help, but I'm not doing actual 3D, I'm doing sprite stacking. Am I streaming on another platform as well? You don't see the messages I'm reading? No, I just get really behind on the chat, and I'll read like 15-20 minutes back a lot. So I'll pause, and yeah. Alright, I'm caught up. Let's give this barn a hitbox. So I gotta pay close attention to where this is placed. I actually might take a screenshot. So I think which way is down here. So I need to figure out which way is down. I think it's, is it this way? Is this way down? Where's this going? No, that's like diagonal. Is the barn diagonal? the barn is diagonal, isn't it? Hold up. Is it actually diagonal? I need to figure out which way is down, so if I can find a fence... Wait, okay. So here's the fence. So if I drive straight up from here... Yeah, the barn is rotated 45 degrees. Did I do that? I might have done that in the last stream and I just don't remember doing it. Let's see if I can figure out why that's happening. So if I look... Let's see. Is it using the... No, it can't be using the random rotation because that would have been overridden by this one. Why would it be rotated? Oh, here's what I'll do. If... there's a thing for the block type, isn't there? T circle... There's T coming from block type. Is barn... No, that's not how you spell barn. Print rot r. Alright, so this will only run when I'm near it because that is how this tile map thing works, so I do have to drive over to it again. I'm guessing it should just output the rotation I gave it, but I want to double check. Maybe it's in the render function I did something. So that should have, yeah, that is correct. So it's saying 180 down here. What happened? Why? So I'm gonna take a look at whatever this render stack thing is. So if I go to sprite stack, is it, wait, what's it calling? Render stack.append. So it's making a list of things to render, and it pulls the rotation back out. So it's making these blocks. Do I have a thing for blocks? Or is that just like right here? So the block is just a sprite stack. And then a sprite stack is this. It takes the rotation. What is if not stuff.cache? Oh, so this is just calculating which cached thing it should use. Plus 180. Does it really rotate it 180 degrees if I use the cache? Really? What could be happening here? Is it supposed to be in radians or something? I don't think so. I mean, I can just like give it a... I can change the rotation in the file. I think that's working, so I can just change that in the file, but I want to know why it's not aligned with the other tiles. Actually, I should be able to do... If I go into the sprite stack right here, I can say if... It should know what it is, I think. So we have the source. Image src folder values. So this is generating all the caches and stuff. What? So this is recursively going down the folder path. So then this is used, wait. It's going down the folder path. So I think this, the last thing it'll be set to should be the name of the source. Oh no, that's not correct. All right, I'm gonna use the restroom real quick and I'll be right back. Oh, also I can, I don't have to wait for my avatar to catch up this time, which will be cool. That's the first. I am back. Hola. Alright. I'm gonna read chat real quick though. Again. Yes, it is a potato mobile. New question. What am I doing for... Wait. Am I doing something for portability on other platforms? Yeah, if you're talking about like mobile devices or consoles, I'm not doing anything for that. But PineStar will work with Linux, macOS, and Windows. So as long as you're on a computer, you can run my stuff. There are ways you can run Pygame on those other devices, though. So I just don't care about that, so I don't do it. 144p buffering, 240p crash. What? Are you experiencing bad internet? I have pretty bad internet myself. Well, right now I'm lucky. I got like 30 megabits per second, which is still, for a developed country, that's still really bad. I think most people have like 10 times that in a developed country. But I think I had 3 megabits, like 2 years ago, I had like 3 megabits per second. Or no, it was like 3 years ago, I had like 3 megabits per second. And before that, like a fair bit before that, I was getting like in the kilobits per second. Because I had some really bad internet. Like if I wanted to download a gigabyte, I would have to just leave it there for a few hours or whatever. Can you export the Python source code to some other executable format? I mean, there's the executable format, which is exe on Windows. And then it's actually, I don't think it has an extension on Mac and Linux, but yeah, you can make things executable. That's what PyInstall is for, and I have a video about that. Did I do any sort of computing science at school? I have, well, I'm actually finishing my computer science degree in 1 week, so yes. But that is not where I learned stuff from. There's very few things I can actually attribute to learning from school, as opposed to learning on my own when it comes to the stuff I actually do. The one thing I can think of recently is that my matrix and linear algebra class taught me about change of basis and matrices, which I used to make, to do some of the calculations on this avatar that I'm using. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot I got out of it, other than, well, I was being paid to go, so I mean, it wasn't like really a loss or anything. Yeah, so I have no idea why. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pull up the GitHub and look through the recent changes to see if I can figure out what on earth I even did. Because I know I just added that barn. Oh, do I have to... What is the repository called? Oh, is it? I think it's just racing game. Yeah, it's racing game. Behold the private repository for this game. Wow. Alright, so if I go to the commit history, barn. So I think it would have been here. So I don't think there's going to be too many changes to look through. 87 change files, 31 additions, 3 deletions. Hello, barn. So there's the split thing. Da-da-da. Changing the frame rate. Changing the cache number. What could have happened here? Is that... I'm very confused. Like I said, I could just like correct it, but this is something where I should understand what even happened, because otherwise it's probably going to cause some issues down the road on some other stuff. Pun not intended, even though it is a racing game. I wonder if it had something to do with the cache number. No, I don't think it would, because I'm pretty sure I changed that number before and I didn't notice anything. So let's go ahead and go back to, well, let's see if I can just change this to be correct. What would correct be? I think it would be like 135, I think. Either that or I add 35 to 180, which is 225. One of those two. So we'll see. But I'm not gonna make this full screen because I'm not gonna have this open for too long. I feel like it also looks better when it's not so in your face when it's full screen. I also need to fix that. Alright. I think that's correct, actually. Where it is now. Wait, no, is this slightly off? There's a rock in the way. Alright, so if I drive straight forward, I'm aligned with the map. That is not... Huh? What is going on? Huh. That is not perfectly aligned. So if I were to align myself with the barn here, so that I can look at the pixels and see, does the barn have a flat edge, which is what I'm looking for? Yeah, so it gets a flat edge. Wait. And if I drive straight, you come up to these fences at an angle. So there's something wrong. Because, did I do the math right? I'm just gonna double check. So it should be, wait. That should be correct. Well, let's see if I put it at... Put it at 45. I might have a guess. If this is... Depending on the alignment here, I might have a guess as to what's happening. It's a possibility that because of the increased number of cached rotations, it's like offset somehow. So that's like facing this way. So let's try to get it lined up right so that I can check the rotation. So just gotta align it perfectly, and then we go forward. And okay, so that's a very different rotation from the last one. This is actually, is that actually 45 degrees? But wait, let's see. If I put it at 0, what happens? Now, if it goes, it might be perfectly aligned as 0. If it is, then I think I know what it is. So, oh, that looks like it might be. So let's line it up. Right, this is real science, and it's lined up. Yeah, okay. So I think my guess. So if I go to the sprite stack, go to render. Aha. Wait. So how does it look up the cache? That's the question. So if not, the cache does this. If it's got a cache, it goes, well, that looks correct. The math looks correct. I thought maybe it was using a hard-coded value for the number of cached things. Actually, here's a quick test we can do. If I go to track, I believe, or wait, is that, no, it's assets, isn't it? If I change this to 90, and then if I go in here and say 180, let's see if that's the line correct. If it is, then we know what the problem is, and it's that the cached rotations are getting messed up somehow, like in their indexing. So, well, wait a second, that's not... Well, first of all, let's see. If I turn, it does stay aligned correct with the map, which is correct. But the offset, actually, it would be like an addition somewhere. It seems wrong. And It did not rotate 180 degrees here, so something's wrong with how it's applying that rotation. So that's at like 45 degrees. Or, not necessarily 45, but... Is it radians that I'm supposed to do here? What is going on? Oh, let's just, let's take a look here. If I go to the sprite stack, rot trunk. Well, let me. So there's two rotations. There's the rotation you look up, and then, or wait, what's under rot trunk? What does rot trunk do? Oh, is that the remainder? Wait, no, that's the actual. No, it's a truncated rotation. So the remainder is the frac. What? So this is used. Wait. What is this used for? So the rotation index is the floor of the fraction. So that's the index we're looking up. Wait a second. Divided by. Well, no, that's divided by. Huh. I do not remember writing this. I wrote it. When did I write? I wrote this in April. Yeah, I wrote this in April, and I don't remember what I was doing. That's not what I wanted to be spending my time trying to figure out today, but whatever. Where am I working from? I'm guessing. Are you asking if I'm working from home? If so, the answer is yes. At least, like right now, that's where I am. I don't know. You want to learn object. I think he's trying to say object-oriented programming. Any tips on how you can learn it the right way? I've never really looked into object-oriented programming that much. Like, I use it, and I've developed my own intuition on how to do things with it. So there's not. I can't tell you what the quote-unquote right way is. The way I look at object-oriented programming is definitely not the way that a lot of the, I guess, object-oriented fans look at it. I look at it as a tool that's used for some types of things where it can be convenient. So I'm like halfway between functional programming and object-oriented programming. So the functional programming is the extreme. Well, no. Functional programming isn't necessarily the opposite of object-oriented programming. So, well, disregard what I said about functional programming. But so there's the people that really like object-oriented programming, that where everything's an object. So think of like Java, where absolutely everything has to be an object. Like everything's like you have to write a class for and stuff like that. And then there's the people that don't write any object-oriented code at all. Which is functional programming languages, but there's other things where you're not doing object-oriented programming that aren't functional programming. I'm not sure what it's called. I think there is a term. Maybe? I don't know. But yeah, I'm like halfway between. So I do choose object-oriented programming where it's convenient, and I developed that intuition on my own. I didn't read anything to learn that. I just learned the functionality that object-oriented programming gives you. I saw some examples of cases where it could be useful just from using different libraries and stuff. And then I just kind of mix things however I feel. Whatever will get the job done the quickest and the most convenient way. What advice do I give to start out a game? Well, that would really depend on what your skill set is, what you're trying to do. It's such a broad thing that I can't really answer that. Can I do this with TypeScript? I mean, you can probably make something like this with TypeScript. I wouldn't recommend it. Am I planning to release this game publicly? Yeah, hopefully. There should be one more playtest where I'll finally decide, like pretty much for sure, whether or not I'll release it. I'm leaning heavily towards releasing it at this point, but I want to do one more playtest, which I'm hoping I can get in right before Christmas. But if not, it's gonna be like mid-January. That will be the main last playtest or something. And then if I do decide to release it, it would be early-ish next year. Thinking about moving out your tree. These squirrels are mean. Plus what? Your ladder keys. Control V won't undo it. You mean Z? I'm not sure what you're saying. That makes me think of like it makes me think of like the early GPT models, where it's like it kind of made sense, but then you also had no clue what it was talking about. You get overwhelmed on coding in Python, can you suggest some tips? I mean, if you're getting overwhelmed doing anything, typically that's something where with more experience it'll be less overwhelming. I like that. That's just broadly applicable to anything, pretty much. Now, if it's to the point where it's a problem, then just slow down, I guess. I don't know. Break things down a bit more. Try something easier. Using delta, I'm assuming you mean delta time, doesn't work with fluctuating frame rate because it uses the last frame length while the current one is changed. Is there a solution? That shouldn't really be an issue. So it depends on what you're doing. There may be some very specific circumstances where that could cause an issue, but the idea is that on the broader scale, when you're looking at things, the amount of time that would have passed would have been accurately handled for the game, so that the game's not running faster or slower. There may be a frame-to-frame difference because you're using an old measurement, but the only difference you will have, so no matter how much time you passes, assuming there is some like error, I guess, in how you calculate that, but it should be very minor. But in theory, no matter how much time passes, you will only ever be off by however long it's been since the last measurement. So there's not, it's frame rate stable, that doesn't cause an issue. And then if it's unstable, it's still such a minor issue you shouldn't be able to tell. If you can visually tell something's wrong, it means either your frame rate is crazy or you're doing something like unreasonably crazy probably, or you're doing something wrong. But yeah, it should not be an issue. All right. So let us get back to trying to figure out what on earth happened with this rotation here. So I think I'm gonna try to figure out which asset this is. So self.images, image. So what's this pulling? Oh, and this is the images. Okay. So it pulls all these images, but I need to know. So the last folder should be the name of what this is coming from. So I run the game now. Yeah, there we go. So if you look down here, we have the names of all the different sprite stacks. So if I go over here, I can do self.name equals folder. And then now I can use this name thing to just filter out my debugging and say, if self.name is barn. So the reason I couldn't just print something here before was because it would print out stuff for every single tile in the game, and I wanted to restrict it to just the barn so I can figure out what's going on. So we can do print, and so what matters here, let's see. So it should be pulling from the cache. Oh, wait, so the... Interesting. Wait, so I do remember what this is for now. So the shadow is not a part of the sprite stack because it gets rendered below onto the ground. And the rotation, the truncated rotation, is because I want to strip off the remainder so that the shadow's rotation is aligned with the sprite stack, so it looks like it's a part of it. Because otherwise it would be more precise and it would look funny. So what I'm looking for is right here where it uses the rotation index. So I can print rot index. And then, yeah, that should be correct. Although I think I know what the result should be. I think it should, maybe it'll help me get a better idea of what's going on here. Something funny. Alright. It's weird that I didn't have this issue on anything else, because, I mean, the... Because, like, the fences don't have this issue. So, let's see here. Let's align with the fences so that I'm facing straight up, because that would mean, I think... Yeah, so if I'm facing straight up, that would mean that it should be 0. That's getting close. I think I'm almost there. Wait. There we go. So that's like straight up. It's a little bit crooked, just a little. But, and here we have this. So this is coming out at 59 when the rotation is set to, oops. Set that to 0. So it came out off by 60. How did that happen? So we'll set it to 0, and yeah, the idea is to face straight north, because if I'm facing straight north, the rotation is 0. So that means that, because the rotation I'm getting this debug value on is the rotation after the camera transform. But if the camera transform's rotation is 0, then that means it should stay at 0. So then I can just trace this backwards now that I know where the issue, once I've caught on to the issue, I can trace it backwards to see what's causing it. So it should be like, so it's coming out, is that an off by 1 thing? Wait a second. Let me line this up. Why is that 45? Hold up. That might be our hint. So if I'm facing like... Oh wait, no, this is the index, this is not the actual rotation. Right, so... So it's the index, not the actual rotation. So the problem with that is, let me go over to here. 45 means 180. So that would be correct if, yeah, okay. So to make this easier, if I put the cache at 360, this might use up a ton of RAM, but if I put the cache at 360, the debug value should be the rotation in degrees. Also, the rotations are gonna look super smooth. Look how smooth that is. But it also means it's gonna be really hard to get lined up. So if I line up this way, I should get like 180. Yep. And if I get over to the fence here and turn around, I should find I think that's pretty close. Should be close to 0. A little bit crooked. 2, 0, yeah, okay. So it's correct when I do that, but if I set it to 180, let's see what happens. So there's something wrong with how it's applying the rotation here. I almost wonder if it's in radians, but you would think that would be more incorrect. Or maybe I'm just choosing some really strange values that are not making it face backwards. So I've not seen it face away from the road yet, which is what I should have probably seen by now. No, that's correct, wait. Okay, let's go over here. Let's try to measure what this thing's actually set to. Right. This is the strangest debugging I've done. Okay. 235. How? Okay, so 235, that would be... How does that even happen? And that's a very precise value, which is why I think it's not the radians thing. Because that, if it were radians, it would be some random value. But that's a rotation, like 180 plus 45, which is a very specific value. That would probably be mathematically be coming from something, I think. Sometimes when you see these numbers, you can work the math backwards and figure out what the formula is that's causing it. Because, like, for example, I see, like I said, 180 plus 45 degrees. So something I'd be thinking is, well, what's 2 times that? So that's a rotation and a half. Now, if I take a rotation and a half, well, let's see. So I'm doing... Oh, wait, no, that's a rotation and a quarter. Wait. So doubling it, yeah, that's gonna be rotation and a quarter. So do I have my thing that I was using the calculator? Whatever. I'll put another one. Oops. So if I just do like what, 235 by 2, you get 470, and you minus 360, and you get. Oh wait, it's 225, isn't it? That's I did my math wrong. So it's not even straight with the... Yeah, because normally it would be... I was thinking 180 plus 45, but that's 225, not 235. So, I can't do math today. So that is not a super specific number. So, okay. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's a different way you can work this backwards. You take... So at 0, we saw it was 0. At 180... facing straight north, we get 235. 235, right? That's straight, we're straight north, right? Yeah, we're straight north. So what happens if we set it to 90 degrees, for example? And then you can figure out the formula, and if you know the formula, then you can guess where it's happening in the code. But 235 is not I would not consider that to be a super specific value. So maybe it is a radians thing, which shouldn't be hard to find. I can probably double check that. I just didn't see it with my first glance. Is that facing? No, wait. So we're at 90 degrees. Or it should be 90 degrees. Boop, 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 boop. Right. 116, that's a... Is that proportional? So that's something, the first thing to look at is whether or not these numbers are proportional. So we've got, you can do 116 by 2, and you get 232, which is almost... Is that within error? I don't think that's within error. It's like, how much is this being scaled by? So here's the other thing. So you do 116 over 90, and you look at how far off we are. We're off by 1 point... Where's this number times 2? Wait, times 3? No, that's 4. Okay, I was just seeing if pi came in. What is 90 divided by 116? Because that's the other ratio. That's close to pi. Alright. Let's look and see. Let's trace this backwards a bit more and see if I can figure out where. We've got. Here, wait, let's put. Oh, wait a second. Is that it? Rotation plus 180. So it's flipping it around, but then it's divided by cache. Why are we dividing by cache there? That might be the mistake. So the plus 180 implies that this rotation value is supposed to be in degrees, which that's what I inputted, so that should be correct. But then we're dividing by the cache, which I'm not sure. The objective, so what is frac supposed to be? Frac is supposed to be a proportion of the cache, I think. Huh. I'll read through chat and I'll work through that. How did I create the map? I made a level editor for it, which if you go back in the stream a bit, I was using it. It's not a free web game. It's gonna be like a free desktop game. It would be cool if trees were randomly rotated to make it look more natural. I think they already are. If you look, I'm pretty sure they already are. I can pull that up. Let's see. Are they? Or maybe I forgot to. Oh wait, I think I did have them randomly rotated before, and then I decided not to do that because it caused some weird effects. I expected them to be... There was just some weird stuff that happened with, like, I think, for example, these roots would stick through the fence, which was not ideal. So I actually have functionality. If you look in the sprite stack right here, no, where did I put it? Right here for so if the tile type is in the random rotation category, it'll randomly rotate it. So if I just go to the definition of that, you can see the rocks and the stumps will be randomly rotated, but the trees will not, because, like I said, the roots would stick out in weird places because I didn't account for that when I was making the map. You think shadows would help my cause? Trying to understand own code moment, yes. Trying to figure out what on earth I was doing. I think there might be a bug in there that I just found. How long did it take to get to this point? I don't know. I probably put in like... Well, the thing is as soon as I start streaming a game, the productivity goes down a lot, so... it's not as accurate once I start streaming it, but... Yeah. Oh wait, hold on. This is not in parentheses. Okay, to answer your question, I've probably put like less than 100 hours in, maybe. I'm not sure. It depends if you include PigNet or not, because that's the networking thing. What's going on top of that? I don't know. But yeah, so we've got ourselves. So this one, I was reading this as rotation plus 180 divided by cache, not the 180 divided by cache being. I messed up my order of operations here. So we've got 180 divided by cache. So what is that saying? So if the cache is 90, you get 2. Why is that there? What is the purpose of the 180? I still haven't figured that out. Is it just to turn it around? I'm not sure what it's for. Oh, I really should have written comments here. But I didn't think I would have to go back and touch this code, because if I did it right the first time, I wouldn't have to touch it again. So you have 180 divided by something cache. So it was plus 1 before. And that's modded by 360. So this should only affect it by like... Okay, you know what? I'm gonna just strip this out and see if it looks the same. It should only change it by like 1 or 2 degrees depending on like what the cache is. So... I mean, it looks fine to me. I'm not seeing an issue here. So the real question then is, why did I have that in the code? This could explain why those values seemed a little bit off, just a little bit off, in some cases. That would... Remember when I saw 1.16 and I said that seemed off a little bit, because if you remember I did 1.16, well, actually no wait. Well, I did 116 by 2 and got 232 when I was expecting 235. That could be part of why. It's making my measurements somewhat imprecise with the alignment stuff. But the question is, why was this here in the first place? Because I'm wondering if I looked at this and mistakenly thought it was supposed to be this, does that mean that's what it was supposed to be? What was I trying to do here? But then if you divide that by cache, what is the objective? Oh, wait a second. I know what this is. Never mind. I think. Wait, or maybe not. So sometimes when you're dealing with like modulo stuff, you want to offset things by 180 degrees so that you can, well, you would normally subtract it afterwards. You like add 180, so you mod it, and then you subtract it afterwards so that your output can be negative. So maybe I was trying to, like, got halfway through doing something like that. That's the one thing I can think of where I would throw a random 180 into there. Because specifically, if you're dealing with, for example, if you're dealing with rotations and you're looking at something's like facing right or left, you would modify the value going into the modulo, because it could be any number past like 360 or whatever. You modify the number going into the modulo, and then you could adjust it afterwards, and then you can threshold it at... You basically, you want it to wrap at a certain point, because when you have a modulo, it'll wrap, and you're looking to put it in a certain place depending on what type of calculation you're doing. Because, for example, if you're looking at, say, okay, I guess this is the best example. So, like I said, you're looking if something's facing right or left, but right is zero rotation. Up would be like 90 in normal math, and down would be 270. If you want that in one logical statement with, if you want to like say greater than or less than, but you don't want to write two things, what you would do is you would modify the value going into the modulo, so that the point that it wraps would be either facing straight up or facing straight down. And that's the main case where I would normally modify the value going into a modulo that I can think of. But I wouldn't divide it by cache. I'm not sure what that's for. But if I wrote that there, I had to have been thinking that I was going to use it for something. Usually, that's what I would think. I don't remember what conditions I was writing this in. Maybe I was really tired. That does happen. I remember writing some really questionable stuff on Vagrant because I was like extremely sleep deprived, but also I didn't have anything else to do because I was in an airport. Let's see. So we have rotation fraction. So to me, I see this right now and I say remove. Why did I just get texted? Oh, thank you, my school, for texting me. So if we do this, just think about this. So we pass in the rotation. Wait a second. Wait, so we want the proportion of 360 degrees. That makes sense. So you throw this into the module, you get a number between 0 and 360. You divide it by 360, so that'll give you a proportion. So 0 to 1 representing a full rotation. And yeah, what I'm doing right now is just basically rewriting this. Going through and doing the math myself to be the way it should hopefully be. And then we floor it. So we get the, we floor the fraction times the cache, and that'll give us the index. So let's say we're facing, we rotated half around, so we'll get 0.5 out of this, because that'll be 180 mod 360, that gives you 180, over 360 is 0.5. Take 0.5, multiply it by the cache. In our case, that's gonna, well, before that was 180, so you get like 90, but now it's like 360 for debugging purposes, so we get 180 out of that, so the index will become 180. Trunk will become divided by, so that's the truncated value that we use for the point is to take it after the floor, and this is used for the shadow. So this is converting back to degrees, or to, should it be degrees or radians? Should be, I guess it's degrees. So we take that, we take the index divided by cache times 360. So for cache is like 180 and we've got 90, we'll go to 0.5 and multiply it again to get 180 out of it. So we should get it here. So it looks like the issue is before this point. So I'm gonna throw this in, and I'm gonna say, so we're at 90, so it was at 116 when I was facing north. So we get our index, and we'll also print out the rotation. So this is the base rotation that it was given, and we have to figure out where this is coming from, because I think there's something else before this where it's getting messed up. And the question is where, and is it coming from the camera? Another thing I could look at is the rotation of the fences, because that should definitely be 0. It looks like it's 0. Hopefully. Alright. Oh. That's a very high number. I guess the camera's rotation is pretty high sometimes, but man. Alright. So I need to get this fence lined up. So let's go straight north, roughly. 113. Interesting. The barn is facing the road. Our input angle is 300 and... The camera starts at 0, doesn't it? So, I mean, I should be able to just, like, do that and, like, unwind the camera. But the funny thing is, I didn't do a loop around when it started. So it should have been, if I turned right, I mean, I could have turned it around once, but it shouldn't be at 4,000. I don't think. How did that happen? So let's do a fence now. What are the fence ones? So we have, is it fence? I forget how these are named. So we have data, images, blocks. So I'll do fence V, fence V. I think that's one of the ones that I should see in the starting area. So I should start at 0 degrees, I think. And it is. Is it radians? Is it really radians? Because I've not seen the barn facing away from the road yet, which you would think would happen. But I'm suspecting it is radians because that was really messed up. Because when you convert, if you think it's radians, then you convert to degrees, but you actually gave it degrees, you get a really large number. Wait, like, let's see here. So it's import math. So you do like, what is it, 90 divided by math, or math.pi by 2 by 360, and then you get, oh, it's okay. I think it is that. Is it really? That's, So where is that happening then? So it assumes it's degrees here at least. That's for sure. And then if I go over to, I guess it would have to be here, right? So render stack.append. Oh. That's literally the conversion to degrees. Okay. What is this? Oh wait. So that's like a seat. Okay, that's some funny math. All right. We do the good old math.radians. That was it, I think. I just got really unlucky. I don't know what the statistical chances of trying that many rotations are, and then not getting anything that faces away from the road. Well, it's just going to be 2 to the whatever power of however many times I did it. So unlikely, but not impossible, I guess. Anyways, so this should probably fix it. This is what happens when you depend too much on statistics. Okay, so yep, it's facing this way, and it should probably be aligned correctly now. And so if I turn this way, yeah, that's correct. All right, now time to give it a hitbox. And so something worth noting. Remember, I was talking before about how actually you probably haven't been. Most of you probably haven't been the string since I mentioned this, but the alignment here is important. I don't remember how far off this is from where it's going to show up in the level editor, which I'll show you in a moment. But I want to place the manual tiles because that's a lot easier than trying to do that outside of the level editor. So we have this screenshot here. So if we look at our map, go down here and look at this. So we've got, if you look, this corner of the barn is lining up to about here, that little dot right there, the rounder part. It's going up to here, it looks like. Which means that it's more like it's being placed right here, I feel like. Yeah, so if you look on this image, this bottom left post right here is going down into the ground right on top of the smudge of darkness right there, which is this thing right here, I think. So it's more like, it's like right here-ish. So, wait, do I have I don't have an off-grid thing. Okay, so it has to be placed on-grid. So, I'm trying to think if I can just force it to be on-grid. Sorry, if I can force it to be, if the alignment to be correct, and then I can just do, because I want to just, I have these things, which I believe, oh, wait a second. I forgot about something. I don't have layers, which means if I just do that, it just deletes it. That is a problem. Huh. So maybe I use a large hitbox? But that's also awkward. What was I using these for? I think I was using these for parts that were drawn onto the map, rather than being a sprayed stack. So yeah, since I don't have layers, I can't just like I had a hiccup. Since I'm not using layers, I can't just draw these hitboxes on top of it, because I mean I can do it here. But first of all, that coordinate's not correct. Actually, maybe this will save me. It may be correct to do this. Actually, no, sorry, right there. But I think it's more like, I'm not sure where the actual, what the actual offset math is for this. It's funny. There's probably some other bad math right there that probably needs to be fixed. But I could technically do that, which is such a hack. The correct way to do it, I guess, is to go and do the math to give the barn the hitbox. But the way to do that is to actually just inject it into the tile map. Because if I have one large hitbox, because the car looks up the neighboring tiles, it won't see that one large hitbox that's too far away. So I have to make this inject multiple different blocking tiles like this kind into the map, I think. So let me see how this is done. Because I think... Wait, no, because this is also a tile. How did I do it with the trees? Because the trees have their own hitbox. Wait, no, Let's just like look at how this track thing is loaded. So you have the block map. Boop. I might have to do some refactoring here so that I can have physics separated from the tiles, because actually no, the way to do it, I remember how I do this now. You turn on the physics for the tile, and then you place all the stuff around it, but you make the physics for the tile the size of just the corner tile, and then that ends up working, I think. So I think block growth would have to be 0, and I just turn on the physics tiles for that thing. So if here's a good way I can figure out how this barn's being set up, and then I can maybe go and debug that. If I go over to wherever this is defined, and then I say barn, I think if it's not listed in block growth, it won't grow it at all. Block growth is defines how far the hitbox should extend past the bounds of the tile. And something to remember is that the car's hitbox is like a dot, not a circle. So you can actually drive into the fence a little bit, I think. Well, the fence has some block growth, so I think you can't tell there, but I would be able to drive into the barn. Alright, so there should be a random... Here it is. Yeah, it's right... Is it in the middle? Is it really? That would make sense, actually. So what I need for this is for it to be in the top left. So I might actually have something... So I don't think this is a bug, actually. I might actually have something that tells it whether or not to offset the tile. Is this it? Neighbor offsets. What is this? Oh, this is just for looking up the locations of tiles. Oh, here's the stats for all the cars. I may have something that determines whether or not a tile should be placed based on its top left, or if it should be centered like a tree. Because I think the fences are placed based on the top left. I don't think they're centered. Or maybe it's just like centering it based on the center of wherever that tile is, which would be correct if it's... Well, instead of the top left, which would be correct if it's... if the tile's like the size of a tile. So let's go over to, I guess, would it be track? Yeah. There should be an offset in here, I would imagine. Aha! Position 0 times tile size plus tile size over 2, I think. Shouldn't that be subtracted? Let's see. Oh, no, this is the current. Wait. Oh, this is centering it. Yeah. Because tile size over 2 goes to the center of wherever it's placed. Yeah. So the trick is to do top left. So the question is, where's the offset coming from that's messing with this? So there should be some other offset in here, I would think. I would think. Because otherwise then the grass wouldn't be on the grid. I mean, technically it would still be on a grid, but not the grid. Maybe? Wait. No, that's correct, actually, because the sprite stacks render from the center. So the sprite stack's farther from the center. Then that would mean that I would need to find the center of the actual, So I could change this math to be, instead of doing this, which is go to the center of the tile, which is correct if the sprite stack is the size of a tile, which is the case for the fences. But if I want it, if I want it to work for everything, I could change this to going to the center of the sprite stack size. So to do that, that would be, can I get the sprite stack type? So I've got the type here. T is the type. So if I can pull up that sprite stack, which is going to be this. So if I do that and then throw in T, that will give me that sprite stack. And then if I go over here, I should have something that will give me the size, right? So I would need the base dimensions of the source. So flat image would give me it. So self.dimensions, or I can do self.width, self.height equals self.flat image.get size. And then now I can go over to here and say dot width, for example. But I just need the sprite stack equals that, or block. I'll call it block stack because it's a stack, sprite stack for the block. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna say this dot width, which should be correct for the fences. I'm not sure if the trees are going to look funny now because I probably placed them with this in mind, the fact that this was going to be offset like this. But if I throw in height here and do that, let's see what happens. So the placement of everything's going to be slightly different if it's larger. So some of the trees are probably going to be in a slightly different position. I think they're further back. If you look, if you remember before when I was talking about these trees and their roots going through the fence, these roots were like right up against the fence, which means I could probably randomize the tree rotation now. Let's see if I can do that. So if I go const here, and if I say, do I have tree? Tree. It's just tree. So I can probably just go, where is it? Random rotations. Random. Is that not here? I don't think that's here. Where's this thing? This is a different const. Okay. Oh, this is the client const instead of server const. So this one's going to be tree. And then that, I think, should let me get away with that now. So you can see, are there, yes, the rotations of the trees are random. I think. Yeah, they are. But you don't see the, before the roots would poke through the fence because the offset was weird. All right, let's see what happens to the barn. So what should happen is that, yeah, it gets placed based on the, well, this is showing up the exact way it showed up in the level editor, which means now, yeah, the hitbox is in the top left of it. Oh wait, that's gonna happen to the trees too. Oh, that's why I did that offset like that. It's because I wanted the, oh, what is, ooh. Yeah, so that's why I did that. Okay, so I'm gonna have to like add a toggle for this. So I gotta remove the trees from here. This is the way I did the math for the hitbox. So we want two modes here. So we want to do this, and then let's say true position tiles equals, And then this will be a list of things that we use the actual position that we see in the level editor. And I'll say use that on the barn. And then we can go grab this. And then we can go over to here, pull from here. And then we can say offset equals self.tile size, tile size. And then if our t is in that, then we can do offset equals block stack dot width, block stack dot height. And then, well, this is going to have to be over 2. And now, if I take this offset and replace this with it, just offset 0, offset 1, then the hitbox for the tree should be correct, and then the barn should have that tile in the top left, which means that I can place the other tiles to give it the rest of its hitbox. And then it should work correctly, hopefully. Alright. So let's check the trees. So that seems correct. This looks correct. So it's not like before, if you look carefully, I was having the hitbox problem where I was off to the side of the tree in the grass properly and it was having the hitbox. So there should be a hitbox in the top left of this barn. Yeah, so this is where it should be. So now I can go over to the level editor and use the funny tricks to give this physics without having to add a physics layer. There's a lot of stuff that was really hacked together with this game, because I was just trying to get something that worked. But yeah, so I can just do that. And we can go over to here, and we'll go data, maps, moo, and we just go ahead and delete our old blocks, put in the new blocks. I'm going to double check the rotation because I don't remember if this is pulling from here or somewhere else. So we're looking for a rotation. Yeah, 180 is good. All right, let's see if this works. Oh yeah, you guys were talking about the whole game engines things earlier. This is one of those situations where it's slower to not have game engine because, or like for this specific thing, because for example, I have not built up a library of scripts to deal with sprite stacking in this type of perspective. Although there's not really game engines that do it either, but normally if you're doing like 3D or something, you would have that stuff built up, and so you wouldn't have to deal with all this funny math that I'm dealing with. But yep, and here the physics are working correctly. So you can drive into it a little bit, but it looks alright. I'm not going to mess with it too much. So the only thing is that it's sticking out into the road, so actually I do need to move that. But yeah, so what I was saying is that the it will be slower to get this stuff set up the first time, but then once you have that library of scripts, it's not hard. I haven't built up anything to make this much more efficient than working on a game engine like I do with platformers, though. So I'm gonna put this here for. I think this is where it was before. So the trees are actually gonna be center based on the top left, so they're gonna be up and left a little bit. So I can just remove all this stuff. And actually, I gotta get the rotation right on these. So it's gonna be. I gotta make this 180, and I go down, and I place these thingies. So this tile's contributing this top left hitbox on its own, but it's also showing everything else. All right, so now if I go back over here, I'm gonna go ahead and delete this one because I don't need that backup, and then we can call some blocks again, and hopefully that'll be correct this time. And then I'll take a look at chat. Alright, so I like where the barn is now. So, and the physics are correct, which is good. Barn's a good spot, physics are good. So, barn's pretty much done. Yep. That's the main thing I wanted to do today. I did also want to get started on the cows, but it looks like I won't really have time for that because I have my very last lecture for my whole degree in computer science, starting in just well, it's like in an hour and 45 minutes. It's biology. Of course, I'm taking computer science and it has science in the title, so I have to take biology. Or rather, bio 2. But yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna take a look at the chat. You guys can look at the barn and listen to the music. Alright, I'll read some of the recent stuff first and then I'll go back. Actually, I might need context on what's going on here. A bit unrelated from the stream topics, but any tips on how to get your game out when releasing your first game in about a month? Like, I'm assuming you're talking about like the marketing. There's not a really good trick for it. I think so. From what I've seen, the best thing you can do is what I would consider organic marketing. It's where you build up some kind of following around the game purely based on people being interested in it. And I mean, that goes for a lot of things where there's the idea that the organic marketing or well, it is the best form. So that's really what you should be aiming for if you can. But and that's how you should, I guess, approach your marketing in general. If you're trying to brute force it and you can't seem to get something organic going, it may be that your project's I guess probably not going to do well anyways. There are exceptions. It depends on how you're, I guess, on the marketing skills to some extent. So you do need to be able to like, getting the organic marketing going is a skill in itself, so that could also be the problem. So the question is how you do that. And I mean, in my case, I feel like it's more of an intuition at this point. And some of it does take time to build up, so that's why a lot of people are trying to do the whole YouTube thing, is because building up an organic following around a project is a lot easier when you have people following your work because it's your work instead of because it's that project, because you can drive attention towards any one of the projects. But the important thing is that they're actually like specifically there for that reason. So it's still organic. It's not you're shoving it in people's faces like by paying to have it advertised or something. Or also something that should be mentioned is that I think the whole journalism thing doesn't really work anymore. And then like, so you don't really, it's not really worth it to reach out to journalists from what I've seen. So like, for example, Hugh Flowing, which I'm assuming you guys know about, had a very positive article written about it by what I've been told is one of the, I guess, highest profile journalists in the whole games journalism industry. He wrote about that, and it got me like, what, maybe a couple hundred downloads at most. So don't assume that you'll be able to get too much from journalists. Generally, that doesn't help too much. YouTube, I think, is where it's all at nowadays, in like Twitch and stuff. But the problem is that it works better for some genres than others. Like, so for example, if you got like a horror game, and the YouTuber plays it, the viewer is not going to be super inclined to play it. Unless there is replayability, which is why I guess replayability is such an important thing right now. Actually, I think that's a large reason why roguelites are so popular right now, and roguelikes. I think it's because they inherently have so much replayability, and since the biggest marketing format is watching people like play a game, people that are, like, a game that is enjoyed through watching someone else play it is not going to be able to do as well typically. Although, I mean, there are, I guess horror itself is a really popular genre anyway, so people will play it to some extent anyways, but it's just that some genres work better with YouTube than others. Like, for example, I've personally seen a lot of people play horror games, but like, I played my first horror game in the, I think that was my first horror game that I played in that collaboration I just did with Blackthorn Prod. So I'm one of those people where I've seen people play the horror games and I don't go and buy it myself, but I've seen people play a roguelike and then I go buy it, like Risk of Rain or Risk of Rain 2. So yeah, it's something to think about, I guess. But marketing is not, for me, there's multiple levels of understanding for things, I feel like, and for me, marketing is at the point where I have somewhat of an intuition for it, because I can get traction on like Reddit, and so for example, I saw, well, there's the guy that I'm contracting for, which you'll probably see in a video soon, because he's gonna do sponsorships, sort of. So I'm contracting to work on a project that he owns, and he's paying for a sponsored position in one of the videos because he gets the revenue from any sales. And I did see him trying to do some marketing on Reddit and stuff, and I did notice some mistakes where it's like, I intuitively know phrasing something a certain way is wrong, or using hashtags a certain way is wrong, and but I can't just off the top of my head easily give you instructions on how to write these things properly, and just and promote your stuff properly. So I'm at that stage of learning something where I intuitively can do it, but I can't really tell you how to do it too well. Whereas if it's something like Pygame, I can give you very clear instructions on how to learn about it, how to do different things, and part of it is just because it's less of a subjective thing. But even with like pixel art, I could give you some pretty clear instructions on like what you should do, what you shouldn't do, even though it's a subjective thing, and give you like a rough guide on how to, I guess, get started with pixel art. But I'm not at a point where I can really do that with marketing, so I don't know. That's why I can't really help too much with that at the moment. I just kind of know how to do it myself, and yeah, it's an interesting thing. Your game definitely leans into speedrunning / roguelike. Yeah, that is a good genre to be in. The one thing to think about though is that there is also the market dynamics, because people are aware of that factor, or maybe just actually it might be more so that people are subliminally or subconsciously affected by the content they see on the internet, and then they see all these like roguelikes and stuff, and then they just decide to make a roguelike because it's popular or something. But actually no, because you do see the horrors on games on YouTube, so maybe it is people just understanding that it's easier to sell a roguelike game, or maybe they see the statistics or something. But I feel like it's reached a point to some extent where the market's kind of balanced itself out. So maybe you can catch on a new genres, like, so right on that initial boom with roguelikes, that there was a huge advantage if you got into that, I feel like, at that time. But we've gotten to a point where there's so many roguelikes, even though it is a good genre to be in for YouTube-based advertising or like Twitch-based whatever. There's so many of those games now that you're competing with more games, so maybe it evens out with the horror games anyways. And maybe people are actually kind of avoiding horror games because they're concerned about that, so that's something to think about. But like, for example, I think we're past the point where you can get onto this wave and profit from it, but there's the whole Vampire Survivors thing, which is kind of, it's a roguelike, I think, right? But it's like a subgenre within it that was clearly an unhit niche. It's the type of game, I think the reason why it was unhit was because, like, why people weren't making those games, even though we're finding out there was interest in that genre. I think it's because it's like one of the first things that a lot of developers make is a game like Vampire Survivors, and then this is just guessing, entirely speculation, but I'm guessing that they just don't go back to it because they've already done it before, and it's like it's not interesting to work on that again. So you go back, or you don't really want to go back and work on that type of game, even though it might have been fun. And then Vampire Survivors comes out, and then suddenly everyone's like, wait, hold on, this actually works. And now we've got a bunch of Vampire Survivor similar games. Something interesting about that, though, is I think I haven't actually looked into how the gameplay works too much. I've seen my brother playing it, but I think it's actually in a lot of ways similar to Risk of Rain, which is funny. And that is kind of a genre that I was hitting with Drawn Down Abyss, but yeah. There's a lot of stuff to think about when choosing the genre for that game if you're looking to try to make, to do well from a sales perspective. Alright, I'm gonna scroll up and read the older messages that I missed while I was trying to debug that barn. Alright, am I using Pygame or Pygame CE? I'm using Pygame CE, yeah. I'm assuming that person's gone now, though, so whatever. Well, he's asking what level of skill I'm at. Yeah, I've been using Pygame for 10 years, so... the contributors, there's a lot of random quirks and things that the contributors to Pygame might know that I wouldn't, but when it comes to actual game development using Pygame, I'm probably on the top level when it comes to that, because there's not many people that have been actually just straight up making games and sort of like working on it or something on Pygame itself or something, but straight up just making games with Pygame for 10 years. That's let's put it this way, I don't know of anyone personally that I can think of that's been doing it as long as I have, like consistently, and at the scale that I have. There have been people that have been more successful than me with less experience, so it doesn't mean that I'm the best at it, but I do have, out of the people that I know of, the most experience. There's probably some people they've been using it for about as long as I have, but I don't know if they would have put in as much time. But yeah, the amount of experience goes a long way. Because a lot of people ask me how I got to where I am with Pygame, and then it's like, I don't have great advice to give, because the way I got good at it was mostly from just using it as much as I have. I mean, the fundamentals aren't complicated, but learning to think about the problems and think like just the ways you can use Pygame to deal with more complex problems, like graphically and stuff, is something that you can pick up over time. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep reading. I don't... Dogma 2 sounds familiar, I'm not sure what that is. You recommend using a slight random float point value to pitch up and down music in the game each time you debug so you won't go crazy while developing. That sounds more annoying than anything. So when you're used to composing music, you're used to sitting there for hours on end listening to the same loop over and over again, so it doesn't really bother me. I think you get used to this stuff. You can also just mute it. I have a button for muting. I can just mute it, which is actually, I think, what I do most of the time. Although the reason it's unmuted right now is because it's contributing to a positive experience for my stream right now, for me personally, and I guess the stream as well, because it provides background music. But like for me, normally I listen to music while I'm working, but I can't listen to music on my desktop computer while I'm streaming, because otherwise you guys would hear it. So the only thing for me to listen to is the game's soundtrack. So I've just been leaving it playing, and it's something for my ears to listen to. So I've listened to this for probably hours, but I mean, it's a good track. So I didn't make this one. This one is composed by Bouncy Torch. But yeah. You made a level editor, but you're not gonna abandon it because it would be better to use some images as a tile map since it would be better for performance. That's not... So using images is not great because let's say you want to move a tile or you want to change the map, or you've got layers and you've got something moving behind a layer. There's things that get really restrictive about if you've just got it as an image. And then it doesn't hurt your performance that much to have a bunch of tiles, unless the tiles are really small. Isometric and the sprite stacking are the best for top-down perspective. The choice between the two just ends up being an artistic preference. I wouldn't say... I think it's actually more of a technical preference. Because... Well... So isometric, you usually don't rotate the camera. Actually, I think some of them you can. But it's like, I think you rotate it in certain increments unless it's like 3D being faked as 2D isometric. So... Yeah, I mean, there's an artistic component, but from a coding standpoint, it's also very different between those two perspectives. Like, I guess I did approach PixCarts from an artistic perspective with the cars. I was just thinking, hey, I want a car that rotates, but I don't want it to look flat. So, sprite stacking, I guess, was the obvious choice there. And I don't know, you could consider that a technical or artistic approach. Because, I mean, technically, well, because if you're considering the choice between isometric and sprite stacking, there's not a technical way to really do isometric top-down racing, I guess, unless you don't want the camera to rotate. So, if from a technical requirement you're saying, I want the camera to rotate, then you could say it's a technical coding thing, but you could also say camera rotation is an artistic decision. I don't know. I did not spend a year and a half on this game. This game I've been working on for about half a year, and I took very long breaks in the middle. What is Pygnet? My network thing, blah, blah. Okay. I think you guys got that. All of the objects in the game using spreadsheets are just the car. Everything that isn't the floor, I think pretty much is using sprite stack. So if you saw the blocks folder earlier, those were all sprite stacks. Raycast, I'm not sure. Raycasting, you can raycast in 2D, but it doesn't have anything to do with sprite stacking. And actually, yeah, I would not raycast the sprite stacks. That would be really weird. I don't think that would work too well mathematically. Alright. Right. Okay, I'm almost caught up here. Did I use any program to make the 3D objects? Yes, I used Magic of Voxel, and then I exported it as slices so that I could turn it into a sprite stack. Yep, alright, that's everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and just drive a couple laps around here and just finish the map for fun, for anyone who's skipping to the end of the stream, and then I'll end the stream, I guess. Someone says, yo, you're probably a bit late because I'm about to end the stream. It's crazy. Although, like I mentioned before, the streams are archived under my live tab, so if you want to look, you can go see it. Today was not a particularly productive stream just because of bugs to be fixed with the physics system. I had to do some wacky stuff to deal with that I was not anticipating having to deal with. And then there was also the rotation bug that I spent like half the stream on. So I'm not sure if I'll stream when I work on the cows. I might not. I don't know. We'll see. The cows will be fun. I think that'll be a more interesting stream because then I'm gonna actually be working on some netcode stuff. The netcode's really easy, but you'll get to see how that looks and stuff. And then after the cows, I think this track's gonna be pretty much done, and then I can move on to polishing the other ones. And then once I get the other ones polished, I can start working on adding the last few tracks and the last few items, and then we can get to the playtest, which is gonna hopefully be in, I don't know, 3 weeks. Do I think I will continue with Vagrant after Pixcards? I have some other stuff planned. The problem with Vagrant is that the code base is really old and doesn't even use my platformer framework. And then also, not only that, but the shaders are using PyOpenGL instead of ModernGL, which is causing some issues. No, I don't use Godot for everything, at least. I use Godot for 3D stuff, and this is fake 3D, so I'm not using Godot. Yeah. There is different menu music. In the future, the goal is, it depends if the composer actually goes through with actually making up the tracks, but the composer is probably going to make which is Bouncy Torch, he's probably going to make music for each individual track, so each track should have different music playing, sort of like Mario Kart, but right now they all play the same music, which might be the case during the next playtest. I don't know if he would make those tracks before then or not. I would guess not, because I'm going to be working really fast suddenly in December, and he's probably not going to have time to do that. So it might be that if he decides to stick with the project through to the release, he would just do it, and you would see it upon release rather than in the next playtest. You're beginning our Pygame and trying to make your own game. It's really awesome. Yeah, nice. It is fun when you're first getting into it. And then what happened with me, which I'll make a video about this soon because I need to make my 10-year video, is that there's a slump halfway through where you slow down in your improvement, but then you're also not good enough yet for people to like appreciate your work on its own. So there's the gap between starting to learn where you're learning things really fast and things are coming very quickly, and then to the point where you have enough experience to actually compete. Yeah, so that it's just a U-shaped curve of fun. So like where I am right now, things are quite fun just because I've gotten to the point where I have enough experience for my projects to be interesting by their own merit. Or at least, hopefully it is. Because, I mean, if I think about it, a lot of my games that are Game Jam games are more, or they're like closer to tech demos because of they're Game Jam games. So, people don't often go to play Game Jam games for fun, unless it's like a fun mechanic they're looking at. Because it's more like a demo length, not something we get super invested in, so people just generally don't play them. So I think my most popular game's getting really close to 10,000 downloads, which it's a fair number. But I think actually most people that have been making games for 10 years have probably gotten higher numbers out on at least one of their games. My numbers for downloads on my games are just really consistent, I feel like. Or pretty consistent, I don't know. They're all like pretty much all within 2,000 to 9,000 downloads, which is interesting. But I'm hoping like Pixcarts maybe could Actually, maybe I don't want Pixcards to cross 10,000. Because if Pixcards cross 10,000 downloads, then we might have a problem where I have to start paying a bunch of money for servers because I was gonna host them myself. And it might just be there's like a wait list, so like artificially like restricts like how, or like it artificially could reduce how many people play the game, because it might be you have to sit in a queue to get into a game to begin with because there's not enough servers or whatever. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm probably willing to pay up to maybe $100 a month at most, which is enough to run. I think I did the math on my video recently. I think it can handle a few thousand players, like at the same time. But I'm a little bit concerned with the whole scaling thing with Pixcards, so we'll see what happens. Alright. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here, I guess, because like I mentioned, I've got my very last lecture in like a bit over an hour. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to stream maybe next week, maybe the week after, and go over or add the cows to Moo. I'm probably gonna have to change the name because I might have to change the out of the track just a little bit. I'm not sure what the copyright laws are exactly. It's a bit vague when it comes to things like this. Although at least if I'm not profiting off of it, I shouldn't get into too much trouble. Alright. So, yep, thanks for coming and end the stream here. Bye.